Okay. Is it afternoon? Good afternoon, everyone. Jamani kwema? Au njaa zimeshaanza kuuma? Somebody said sana, pole. Tutaenda haraka kidogo. I may have to pass the mic kwa sababu naona tuna nania mic kidogo, but nitaomba my panelists wote wajitambulishe, waseme wanafanya nini, alafu tutaenda kwa first rounds of questions.
Habari za mchana.
German.
We need to use the English because the English people are no longer. Okay. So kwa majina naitwa Asha Mohammed Mustafa. Nafanya kazi Open Map Development Tanzania, located at Mikocheni. So we are a registered NGO based in data collection and innovation. So for those who knows us, we are working with universities to conduct industrial trainings as well as help youth in innovation. So recently we have a project called Open Sky Fellowship Program. Who knows Open Sky Fellowship? Okay, so it's a program, it's a 3-year program that aimed to build African youth expertise, giving them power and responsibility to reveal their full potential for entire technology in our country. So we have fellows, for example, Tukupala, who is a panelist today. She's a source of Open Sky Fellowship. Welcome to Mikocheni to know more about OMDTZ. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Good afternoon. My name is Tukupala Mwalyolo, and I'm a certified drone pilot by European Union Aviation Safety Agency and Traficom Finland. I'm also the founder of Youth and Drone Community that deals with providing education to youth and kids about drone technology. But also I am working with Every Green Tech Company. We provide services to farmers in spraying crops by using drones, and also using drones to provide data to farmers relating to health of the crops. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Lucy Kitambala. I'm an MD3 right now, yes, at Mwalyolo University. At Mwalyolo University of Health and Allied Sciences. I'm part of the innovation ecosystem in my university. We host tons of symposiums and hackathons. Generally, it's to impart knowledge on the students. We're aware that medical students are a bit enclosed in our own curriculum. So this is like an extracurricular that is actually supposed to improve them. So we do symposiums and hackathons where we challenge them to come up with innovative ideas. So thank you for having me today.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Shadrach.
My name is Shadrach. I work at AzamPay as sales manager for payment division. I'm an ex-founder of the startup, but also I run a small software company called SDK Incorporation.
Thank you, Shadrach.
Good afternoon, everyone. Firstly, always a pleasure being a part of a panel where there are more women than men. and that even women in STEM. So can we please have a round of applause for
Fantastic.
all our women in STEM? We know how much that takes and the encouragement that is required. So as mentioned, my name is Farhan Yusuf. I'm a pharmacist by profession, and I've been working in the Tanzanian health sector for over 10 years now, supporting different projects, programs related to different aspects of the health sector. Thank you.
Okay. My name is JanethKaren Kilonzo. I'm an industrial engineer by profession, but I'm also a co-founder of Plate AI. Plate AI is a web app that helps people who are suffering from non-communicable diseases such as diabetics to plan for their meals, but also link them with health professionals. And I'm also working with a non-government organization called Allen Institute of Artificial Intelligence. Yeah.
Thank you very much. I will start with you, Jane. Africa has seen a growing interest in AI and machine learning in general. And there's a lot that we can explore as far as the technology is concerned and our problems are concerned. Because if there's an easiest way to solve a problem is to build a sustainable solution around it. So how do you see the potential of AI startup in solving problems in Tanzania, let's say, but where do you see us in the AI space, let's say in the next 3 years?
Okay. So I would say us growing in AI is actually, I see it growing, but we should contextualize our solutions that we are creating to fit our local needs and not try to like fit everybody in. Let's say for an example, I'm building Plate AI. It's a like meal plan app. There are a lot of meal plan apps, but I realized that there are no meal app plans that cater to local Tanzanian foods. That's why I created Plate AI. So I'm saying us growing into AI field, it's very potential, or rather like growing, but we should make sure that the solutions that we are creating are catering our local needs. Yes, I don't think what was the next question? Because the question was quite long.
Sorry, the question was, where do you see us as far as the AI space is concerned? Where do you see Tanzania in the next few years?
Okay, so I see it growing actually, because there are a lot of different fields. You could take a field of fintech. I see there are companies that are growing into fintech. They are using AI in securing, like helping people secure funds. It's called Flutter something, I forgot its last name, but there is also a lot of companies out there that are using AI. So I'm seeing it growing into potential, but the great thing that we should take in as entrepreneurs or startups is that we should look into solving our own local problems.
Local problems.
Yeah.
Speaking of local, how do we deal with the language issue?
Language.
Yes. A lot of AI is in English, if I'm concerned. Other than the programming language, like the language is English. So how do you get a local Tanzanian student to be interested with AI? And then there's a language barrier.
Wow, that's a very tough question. But I would say it's because, you know, sometimes we might find it may be an obstacle, but it might be an opportunity. Actually, for an individual, you can just help that individual in learning English, because as far as I know, English is taking all over. So if we train those individuals into learning English, and I think they'll get interested into learning AI, but also taking an example of, I don't know, like explaining to them into Swahili way as what AI means and what things it does, it will make that person fascinated and get into AI.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. I'll go to you, Tukupala. Can you? Yes. So you have your unique experience as a certified drone pilot in Tanzania and your exposure to the Finnish education. How can the adoption of drone technology in Africa open up new opportunities, especially for young and aspiring innovators?
First of all, it's true that I had the opportunity to go to Finland, and in there I studied various subjects relating to artificial intelligence, machine learning, and robotics. And the mode of teaching, we are practical based more into practical, like working with little robots in the class, doing some projects relating to artificial intelligence. But also I was able to engage into different club communities relating to drones technology and visiting different companies that deal with using drones for good. So drones can be used in different activities. It can be used for agriculture, for precision agriculture, in medical delivery, in areas that are difficult to reach. It can be used in environmental conservation. It can be used for mapping and surveying. So there are lots of activities that can be done by drone technology. But we cannot do these activities if we don't have the knowledge to know how to operate a drone, or how to make a drone, or how to use a drone. And what kind of strategies should we have so that we can be able to use drones in different activities? So first of all, using drone for good or for doing something, it depends on two things. First of all, a person can be having a creativity on making drones. I'll give an example for myself. I was exposed to drone technology in 2019 through Resilience Academy. So from there, I learned how to build a drone. And I got the passion of building drone in also 2020, 2021. When it reaches 2022, I said, this is not enough. What kind of activities should I be able to do with the skills of making drone that I'm having? So when I was given the chance by Open Skies Fellow of getting the fund, then I had to check in my society what kind of problem that me as the knowledge that I'm having, I can use for solving that challenge. So I went back to my family because we are small-scale agriculture. So I checked, like, we always face these problems of using manual spraying crops. Like, we're using a lot of time in the farm, and also those chemicals, they affect health. So I said I will make a drone that's going to solve problems of manual spraying. And luckily, I was able to succeed in having my project. So having a knowledge, it's one thing, but doing something to solve a particular challenge in the society, it's another thing. So when I went to Finland also, I was able to engage into different activities relating to drones technology. And I joined this club called the Turku Flight Club in the city of Turku. So from that club, we learned on how to make different kinds of drones. And I said, if youth are gathered in like this way and kids are gathered and they learn how to make drones, can I be able to take this thing to my own country so that if youth and kids also in my country knows how to make drones, how to utilize drones, then you can look around our society and find something or a certain challenge that can be solved by using drone technology. So when I came back in Tanzania, I studied the youth and drone community. So with this community, I gather youth and kids and teach them how to make drones from scratch. So within 2 months, I came here in June. On June and July and August, I've been able to reach to 120 kids in schools, but also I've been able to reach to 61 youth. Although currently we don't have a physical place that you can be able to meet every day. So what I was doing, I was going to schools and teach kids what is drone technology, then what kind of challenges can be solved by using drone technology. So when we want to use the drone technology in the nation, it depends. Like, drones can be used in different activities, but it starts with the exposure. The youth are supposed to be given an exposure on how to use drones and what is drone and what kind of creativity can be done so that you can be able to use drones to solve different activities. I mean, solve various challenges within your society, within the continent.
Wow, that was deep. Thank you very much. To you, Shadrach. I understand you have had a vast experience in fintech, in the fintech space, and then in the startup ecosystem generally. Now, fintech is growing rapidly. How can fintech startups drive financial inclusion and economic empowerment, and what are the lessons you've learned so far? But also, I think one of the biggest lessons I've personally learned is the growth of many ecosystems depend on the collaboration of partners. So how do you encourage, or how do you see collaboration between fintech startups and different players in the ecosystem to ensure that the fintech actually grows? And what would you recommend for somebody who is looking forward to start one?
Thank you, Vanessa. Fintech is one of the very broad sectors because it has multiple touch points. And as you're saying, there are a lot of players, and the first challenge in the fintech was the access part. But now, with the mobile money banks, so the access has been at least, leapfrogged by the intervention. So now, it's beyond access problem to many. Now, how do you make the access, makes sense to any person who is at least, getting the access to, financial services digitally. So we've seen now there are a lot of initiative in the insurance sector, there's a regulation sector, tax, yeah. So there are a lot of opportunity in terms of how do we use technology beyond the access and drive adaptation. So yeah, one of the things that I think that can really drive the sector is the collaboration, as you're saying. So now you see there are a lot of players in the market. So we have the telcos and MNOs, you have the microfinance institutions, you have the fintechs, and they have their own association. And at some point they are collaborating to ensure that we engage multiple stakeholders to see that we develop the sector. And you see having multiple players collaborating, it creates some sort of ecosystem. Yeah, so we have the government and the agencies that they regulate, but we have multiple players that are collaborating to make it possible, to work together. But it boils down even to the startups themselves. So for example, in the company that I work with, AzamPay, which is a payment company, we have an e-commerce business, but also we have a mobile money business. We work with multiple other companies. Yeah, we work with CRDB, who is our key stakeholders. We work with other payment company, in some areas of our business. So I think that collaboration, it make it possible and make it conducive to, to deliver services. And at the end of the day, the one that we are targeting is the consumer. Yeah, and if we are not collaborating, it means that we cannot be able to, change the life of the consumer. And if we are not changing the life of consumer, meaning that there's no business. And essentially, if we don't make any money, then we die off. Thank you very much, Vanessa.
Thank you very much. That is definitely not a business if the consumer is not happy. But as I was listening to you, I could literally hear someone asking, so what is fintech? So can you just tell us a little bit of what is fintech, MNO, e-commerce, and just maybe a highlight of how fintech works?
Yeah, you might have been using fintech and not really know, it's just a term coined that it's a financial technologies, right? So any technologies that sort of deliver or have a touch point in delivering financial services, that is what we call a fintech, right? So we have our mobile apps nowadays, the banking apps. We have our USSD platforms that enable people to, putting in money, withdrawing money, paying for bills. That is a fintech. Yeah, we have some lending. Yeah, kuna watu wanajua songesha and whatnot. That is also a financial technology. So any financial services that is being delivered to a consumer or to a business using technology, that is what we are calling a fintech. And as for MNO, these are just simple terms for mobile money network operators, right? And in this context, when you're speaking about mobile money network operators, what they offer, it's a very broad business. So they have a telco business, but also they have a mobile money business. So in this context, for the mobile money, we say MMO, mobile money operators. So these are essentially, most of the time they are MNO, but at some point, for example, with our case for AzamPay, which is a mobile money service, we are not a telco company, but we operate a mobile money service. So that is mobile money operator.
Thank you very much. Tumeelewana? Aliyokuwa anauliza limejibiwa eh? Limejibiwa? Okay, thank you. Kumbe kweli walikuwa wanauliza. I'll go to you, Farhan. Healthcare. I don't even know where to start. The space is chaotic, not just in the sense of tech and innovation, but itself as a sector is very chaotic. So my first question would be, this being a very critical area in Africa, or in Tanzania rather, and it's one of those spaces that actually decide, but also communicate the state, the economic state of a community. How do you see technology coming in to contribute in clearing out the mess, but two, for students that are graduating from the healthcare system? I understand that it's not just for healthcare, but generally universities are producing a lot, yet the market is not able to take in. What are the opportunities that they can see or they can actually take on to start solving different problems in the space?
Thank you, Vanessa. I mean, I don't know if I would use the word chaotic. I think it's complex. The health sector is quite complex. That's how we always talk about it. And there's a lot of different things to consider. I think complex is probably a better word. But, you know, when I think back to the COVID-19 pandemic, I always tell people that, you know, we need to learn from the lessons that we derived, right? And if you're talking about the health sector and tech, I think there's three things that sort of the COVID-19 pandemic showed us as far as the health sector is concerned. Number one is that if you don't have health, you don't have anything, right? If your health is not sorted, everything sort of, you know, fails, falters, you know, goes down, the whole world stopped. But aside from that, what we also saw was the opportunity in health, because when everything had stopped, health was the only industry that was running, right? And it was running and there was a high demand, etc. Yes, we realized a lot of challenges, a lot of fallacies within the system, but then we also saw that the health sector probably has the most opportunity compared to the other sort of sectors. And then thirdly, I think COVID-19 is also what brought to the forefront this discussion around technology in health, because, you know, you realize now people either don't want to go to hospitals or can't go to hospitals, and, you know, there was all these challenges where they need health services the most, but they can't access them, and not just in developing countries like ours, but in developed countries as well. And so that really brought to forefront this whole conversation on technology in health and how we can use it to increase access to services and products. Now, when you come to a country like Tanzania, for example, to contextualize to our scenario, yes, one of the things that you mentioned is true, that we are producing a lot of health professionals, but then the rate of them being absorbed within the public system, for example, is challenging. The private sector still has, you know, it's growing, and so there's a lot of opportunity within that for this health tech element as well. And I think, you know, we are seeing those examples. You know, we have someone here from Mwimbili, and I think Mwimbili has become one of those sort of spaces where a lot of students are coming up with their own, you know, health tech innovations. And just to name a few areas where there is opportunity. So there's a lot of opportunity for tech in health as far as supply chains are concerned. So when you're talking about pharmaceuticals, when you're talking about diagnostics, when you're talking about health equipment, etc., there's a lot of conversation and opportunity around revolutionizing supply chains by using technology, right? And we have startups from Tanzania that are doing a good job in that. Dawam Kononi is one of them that I think many people have probably heard of. There are others as well that are coming up. So there's a lot of opportunity in revolutionizing. I know there's Afya Intelligence that uses AI to sort of, you know, optimize our supply chain. So there's a lot of opportunity there. Another upcoming area is in diagnostics. So again, using AI. So for example, we have an initiative called Saratani AI that's also a product of Mwimbili students that's using AI to diagnose cancer by looking at, you know, slides from patients and all that. So there's this whole opportunity of bringing in technologies like AI to promote, you know, diagnostics, etc. Now, there is also the resultant fear that comes from that, and that's a separate topic on its own, that like, will this take away jobs? Will we stop needing doctors? But I think that's a whole other, conversation on its own, and I see the medical students smiling at that. And then I think lastly, just, to end in terms of opportunity, there's also, and this is again very much related to the COVID-19 pandemic, there's a lot of opportunity in telemedicine. Right? When people can't go to health facilities, how do we connect them to the health services and to the health professionals? And there's a lot of work going on around that as well. So just a few, but there's a lot of opportunities is all I'll say. Thank you.
Thank you very much. That will take me to Lucy. Students struggle with demanding academic schedules. At least that's what we are told.
That's true, yes.
Is it?
It is.
Anyway, my question is, how has your community successfully integrated technology and business education into the medical curriculum, if you have? And what has the impact been?
Okay, thank you, Vanessa. Speaking of the MUHAS innovation ecosystem, there are plenty of organizations within it. So what we do basically, on the part of entrepreneurship, so from the precedents, like what we've noticed in the past years is that students, despite the demanding schedule of school, they can at least find time to create innovations. Why do I say this? Because we've seen students who skipped classes, they went to create things, and on those big awards like Makisato, I'm sure some people know of Makisato Awards, the university leaders phone their students there, so they're like, who gave you permit to come here? And they're like, so we see the internal drive of students actually influence the university to come and realize the importance of innovation. This led to introduction of the entrepreneurship curriculum into our medical curriculum. So nowadays there are students studying courses on entrepreneurship. A live example is nursing students. They study it in their second year, and for us, we'll study it in our third year. So on the part of innovation and technology, I can't say we've done it exactly to incorporate it into the school curriculum. I think that's a work in progress, because most of us are aware, like on an institution with older people who have seen the success in their normal way of functioning, it's very difficult to introduce a change in that normal functioning. So it has to be backed up with an immense amount of data that is actually accurate. So a couple of months ago, I was able to speak with one of the university leaders. We had a meeting. And for her, she was the head of the innovation unit in our university, the Directorate of Research, Publication, and Innovation. So she said that they're working on a feasibility study to really look on the importance and the need of innovations for students, especially medical students in our university. That will be able to back up their agenda in pushing it to the university heads to incorporate innovation and technology in the curriculum. So I can say that is a work in progress, and we believe through generations and generations, things will be possible, because even entrepreneurship into the course is actually something that is a benefit of past generations. Further, I can say, as we're working to modify the curriculum on innovation and technology, us as the ecosystem, we take that sole responsibility to at least improvise. How do we improvise? MUHA students have half days on Wednesdays. So on Wednesdays, our lessons end at 12:30 p.m. So during that amount of time left, we put sessions like symposiums or conferences where students can attend whenever they like. So this is most for Muhimbili students. We highly recommend, but somebody who is scared of getting a supplementary and it's not that big of a motivation for them. So it's some sort of a challenge where we put these sessions to educate them on emerging technologies. For example, one of the organizations that I work with, Muhimbili University Student Symposiums for Debate, we prepare symposiums every year with a different theme. In 2019, we had one on artificial intelligence, and this was the first ever, but it was a very good fruit. We noticed a major arousal, I can say. Like, it was a very good it gained acceptance in the university because the university leaders were there, the experts were there, the students were there, academicians. Everyone was excited to know what is this artificial intelligence and why is there only now a symposium on artificial intelligence. So most of them received that call, and we had something like more than 400 attendants, I can say, on that symposium. So from artificial intelligence, we had a corresponding hackathon. We put students, especially medical students, on hackathons, and then we give them problem statements. These problem statements will be derived from different fields of medicine: maternal health, mental health, pharmaceutical and medical supply chain, so many things like that. So these problem statements will be given to the students to show them the need of technology, where they'll be forced to come up with solutions. So after hackathons, we've noticed a great fruit because we've been able to acquire teams like Saratani AI, as he said, and thankfully I'm the secretary of that company. Yes, Saratani AI. So innovations like Saratani AI, Dawa Mkononi, as he said, we have Mkanda Salama, we have Afya Tun, and etc., and etc. So this is the product of students who are ready to receive the knowledge and actually work on the challenges in the health sector. Further, I can say that working with medical students can be challenging, but as much as we can, there's always room for motivation, and there's always room to impart awareness more and more. So the more that know will communicate the message, and greater the curriculum will be improved, to believe.
Fantastic, fantastic. Thank you very much. But I'm just curious, when the one who was caught without permission, did they get get punished?
Similarly to say, when you get in trouble, but then you've done something nice to your parent, they actually forget what you've done. So since they got the awards on that Makisatu, and the university,
they didn't get the award,
that would have been a problem.
Okay.
Yes. Yes.
But maybe that is a learning. That is a learning. I'll go to you, Asha. Open Map Tanzania really does work with youths and students a lot. I'm just curious to know, how does organizations like yours collaborate with educational institutions to ensure that students are equipped with the skills? But also, what are the key challenges faced by students that you think that they're faced in accessing technology and business education, that you think other players can come and actually support the efforts that you're putting in?
Okay. Thank you, Vanessa. I would say, by starting what Tukupala said, she got an opportunity of learning about drone through Resilience Academy back when she was doing industry training. And we were part of industry training, that we were the one who trained her about the drone activities that she got interest in working with up to now. So what we have been doing since 2017 and what we wish should be, we can collaborate with the government and other sectors, is to, first of all, is the industry trainings. Most of you who are here, always when we finish our semesters, we go to industry trainings. So what always ONDTZ does, collaborate with Resilience Academy, back then with the World Bank and universities such as University of Dar es Salaam, SUSA, as well as Al University and other universities. We usually conduct industry trainings to help students, empower them with other tools or other frontier technologies that is out there, apart from what they study in their curriculums, so that to help them to nourish them of what is happening outside the university, what other opportunities they can learn in order to be able to compete on the AZA market world of jobs, or empowering themselves. So we introduced them with different tools such as drones, which we have been working for almost 5 years now, and other tools of innovations such as GIS, and other data analysis tools. So we conducting those training, empowering students with this kind of knowledges that they either study theory in universities, but we give them in practical, either if it's data collection, we go really in the field, work with community directly to collect data so they see how it works. But also by conducting the cultivations in young students as well as young kids in schools. We do that, and we wish to collaborate with government, working with these young kids who are still in schools, secondary schools as well as primary schools, introduce them with frontier technology such as programming, working or introducing different technologies, if it's drone or any other frontier technology or emerging technology. We can also work on that or collaborate with the government and other private sectors to empower or ensure that youth from the beginning are given the opportunity to learn or being exposed to the frontier technology that is happening so that they can choose interest. When it comes to the challenge, the biggest challenge that is out there, it's the education system that it's already in place. As Dr. General said earlier, we are facing with the challenge of the education itself. We don't have the access of frontier technology or the introduction of this technology, even though there is money that has been already invested moving forward to expose youth, but we still have that challenge. We don't get to know, for example, myself, I didn't know about these platforms such as using open source platforms to do data collection until when I was introduced them by OMDTZ. So we have the education system itself give us the limit of accessibility to this technology or the introduction of this for that technology. Another thing is the skill-based technology, the skill-based barrier. As the general said in the morning, some billions are invested now, but budget constraints, it doesn't, previously it wasn't like, there was no much investment in investing in youth in frontier technology. And another thing is language-based barrier. As you asked, Ms. there, most of programming language are in English. How does innovators in our countries can navigate into that if they don't have this background in English? So we have been working with youth through this program who doesn't know about English, but they have ideas, they want to work on solving a certain issue, but language being a challenge. So we give them mentorship, as well as we give them, we call guidance, we give them mentors to guide them hand by hand on how they can achieve this. So what we believe in OMDTZ is that African youth can solve their own problems. All they need is time, resources, which General said they're giving us resources now, as well as mentorship. Every African youth challenges or African challenge can be solved by Africans moving forward.
Thank you very much. So, fantastic. So I'm going to ask every speaker to just have 1 minute as we wrap it up. So I'll start with you, Jane. In building, tell us 2 biggest challenges that you've faced as you're building your startup, but 2 major advice that you would give a young person wanting to get into the startup space, especially in artificial intelligence. In 1 minute.
Okay. So the biggest challenges that we face, first of all, I think Doctor, he talked about the one biggest challenge. If you don't have data when you're building an AI product, you're not going to finish it. So that is one of the challenges I'm still facing. So currently we are not having a database system that collects information on Tanzanian foods, on its nutrients. So we are kind of collecting from scratch by ourselves. Though we have partnered with Tanzanian Food Nutrition Center, and it's helping us on that, but it's still a challenge to us. And the next thing is that we've seen most of the these organizations that are helping startups help them after they have their MVP. And it's really hard for us who are starting, because the MVP is not yet completed and we cannot get the funds to finish up the MVP. So we're binging on our own salaries and yeah. What I would advise some of the people who are starting up in this field to actually partner with the correct people. It took us like 1 year to get close to Tanzanian Food Nutrition Center. So yeah, they shouldn't give up on that, but they should find an organization that would really help them. Since we just started partnering with the Tanzanian Food Nutrition Center, it has been easy for us to like excel, and now we can even see the light on our side. But we also tell them to like make sure what they're building has impact in the future. Yeah.
Fantastic. Farhan, you have been in this space for 10 years, and you have been a student before, so you have had enough experience to be able to bridge that gap. What would be the advices that one you would give the medical students that want to explore opportunities in the tech space? Where do they start? But two, what would be the advice you would give the players? So if we're out of here, how do hospitals get comfortable to allow these startup founders experiment? Okay, maybe experiment is not a good, but build their startups because they need data. Healthcare is not something that you could just try on. What would be the advice you would give the players, and what would be the advice you give the startups and the innovators?
Thank you, Vanessa. So 2 things for the students, right? I think number 1 is I hear a lot of this, you even asked questions around curriculum, etc., which is great, but I always tell people that's a long-term goal. Review of curricula is a very bureaucratic and long process, and not just in Tanzania, but world over. Right? There's a whole discussion around, are our education curricula in line with the market, right? And again, I know we sit in Tanzania and we feel like maybe that's a challenge here, but believe me, go and talk to anyone in any part of the world and you'll hear the young people there saying our curricula is not good enough, right? So while those broader sort of curricula change outcomes are being worked on, in today's time and age, really, there are very few skills that you can't learn on your own. And if you're already a medical student, if you're already in Mwalyolo or in any other university, or not a health university, but another university, you already have some form of access to internet because that's how notes are shared, that's how past papers are shared. You already have a good command of, a language like English to a certain extent. And I know within universities also there are sort of support systems for those kinds of things. Make a list and learn yourself. Like just learn how to use your time better. Find what resources are out there. There are a lot of free courses, coding, etc. Google. There's so many platforms out there that are providing these kinds of skills. Don't just sit there and complain, oh, my curriculum is not doing this for me. Yes, the curriculum will change, and definitely put effort in that. It will happen. Maybe your children and your grandchildren will probably benefit more from that than you will. But in the meantime, what do you do to help yourself? And that is learning. The other thing I must talk about, because I always talk about this, is when we are talking about students and how they're getting into the startup space, we need to really do away with the founder syndrome. I always talk about this because we have a problem of partnerships, and not just partnerships with people outside, but even partnerships within us, right? There's a lot of power in synergy, in working together. You don't always need to be a founder, right? You can be a co-founder, you can be an integral part of a very amazing team. You don't necessarily need to be a founder, so definitely we need to do away with founder syndrome as much as possible. With regards to the other players in the space, see, what I also always ask people to understand is that the health sector is very different from the finance sector or the agri sector, right? Because you are dealing with people's lives. So there's a reason why the health sector is a bit more regulated than other sectors. Like, even when you're talking about data with, with agriculture or finance is very different from data in health. We are talking about people's HIV statuses, which if they got out, leaked, or something happened, you're talking about very catastrophic implications for people. So the health sector needs to be tightly regulated. It's a requirement. But I think the advice is more dialogue and engagement, both from the startup side, but also from the player side. There's a lot of work that's being done to solve some of these challenges, but I think we need to create more platforms where these two ends can sort of meet and discuss with each other. Thank you.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. I'll go to you, Shadrach. Quick one. If I'm starting a fintech right now, how can I work with AzamPay? That's one. Two, where do I start if I want to build a fintech in Tanzania?
Okay, starting working with AzamPay is very easy. Yeah, we have our offices just down Masaki, so you can contact us. But really, we have a technology now with AzamPay. As I said, we have a payment company called AzamPay. So for any person who is looking at integrating payments within their solutions, we have our open API whereby you can come in, implement the payment modules and test. We have that facility online and it's free. So you can do that. But also we have some people who, are students and they want to build an MVP, perhaps go and pitching. We have a special window whereby we allow them to come on board. They go and showcase. So we open the API without having that regulatory requirement, and they can actually go and test that. Showcase. In live environment, without having met all the requirements. And this is not only open to students. And if you have a potential startup and you really want to go and perhaps pitch for a partner or an investor, we are willing to open that platform for you. But there are two things that I can say that really matter to break into fintech sector. The first one is to be curious, and to be curious is to understand how things are positioned and who can be a potential partner for you, right? Another thing is to reach out. Yeah, I think one of the very well-regulated industry next to healthcare is finance. Because you're dealing with people money, right? Now you really need to reach out to partner. Yeah. In some instances, you might need to have a payment license, but you can't pay. Between $10,000 US to $20,000 US to get your own. You can find a partner who has a payment license from BOT, so as you can partner with. You need a wallet. But you cannot be able to go to BOT, go through the lengthy process of getting your own license. So you can go to and actually lead to a partner that can actually take care of that opportunity. And as Farhan has said, at some point we have that founder mentality and selfish mentality, right? So you see there's a sector, and it's very lucrative, and you can make a lot of money. You don't want to share. Because if you come to me as AzamPay, I'll need to make a business case out of whatever proposition that you come with. I'm ready to trade off some of the revenue because I see the potential in you. But you as a founder also, you need to have that mentality that you need to collaborate with somebody to be able to, to reach where you want. But also I think you have to be very open to the reality. I started my company, we had a bit of a constraint in terms of regulatory constraint, so you have to pivot. So as a founder, you have to have that mentality that at some point things will not work. You need to change at least to get started. And this also, the last one is I commend the government. They've been very willing. Yeah. 3 to 4 years ago, you didn't get, even to knock to a government office and get that approval. but now I know ICTC, they've been doing very great job to have a regulatory sandbox. So now, they've pioneered a system or a structure whereby you don't have to meet all the regulatory requirements to be able to start operational. So, ICTC can vouch for you, and you have a bit of lenience from the government or from other agencies to be able to start operating. Kwa hivyo, it's a good start, and I commend the government, and I hope they'll be more willing to work with startups to make it, to let them tinker with things in a very keen way, so as the government can learn, but also we can release that potential that our people has. Asante.
Thank you very much. Asante sana. Tukupala, 1 minute. What would you say to someone who would have loved to get the opportunities that you got, to go to Finland, to be certified, to learn, and now you're sharing? What would be your advice to them?
Okay, thank you, Vanessa. So one of the advice that I would like to give to a person who has got this chance, it might not be going to Finland, or it might be like a person got a chance to go to one of the European countries or these developed countries. So one of the advice, the biggest thing that you have to consider, network as much as you can. I will say an example as myself. When I got the chance to go to Finland, I knew that I liked drone technology. And even before going there, I had to make sure that I'm following all the pages in social media relating to drones around Finland. So when I went there, I found that there were different of conferences and also workshops relating to drones, and I was able to attend those workshops. And it wasn't in vain, because for me, being engaged in drone technology, I was always dreaming to have a certification so that I can be a certified drone pilot. And it was quite difficult for me to get a certification here in Tanzania, because at that time I was a student, and soon after I finished my bachelor, I went to Finland. So while in there, I made sure that I'm networking as much as I can, and one day I get a chance of having this certification. So getting the information on how to get certifications is through attending these conferences relating to drones. So while in conferences, I made sure that I am networking as much as I can, and I got little information like how can I be able to get the certifications, and I was successfully did my exam and got certifications in 3 levels, A1, A2, and A3. But apart from that, I was able to join in different communities like clubs that relates to what I am passionate about. So I joined this community relating to drones, and I was able to learn different kinds of knowledge, and from there I got an idea to even start the same thing here in Tanzania. So if you get the chance to go somewhere like in developed countries, learn much. So apart from joining the club, attending the conferences, I also visited some companies relating to drones. I visited companies that make drones by using artificial intelligence. I visited companies that does drones for mineral exploration. So it provided me with a lot of knowledge, and I came to realize if European countries, they do these activities in drone technology, I can also be able to use the same thing when I go back to my own country. So that's what I would like to advise.
Thank you very much. So my last question will go to Lucy and Asha. Very quick, very precise. How do people join your communities? How do students join your communities?
Okay, for students to join our community, it's quite easy. So before we closed school this year, we started some sort of innovators roundtable meeting. It was purposely because we noticed that when we hold symposiums annually, like just one symposium on maybe an emerging technology, say data analysis or genomics or maybe pharmaceutical and supply chain for just one time in a year. It's never enough. So we started, we want to back up this one-time meetings with extra meetings where we just call for people who are interested in innovation. Whichever class you are, you may not even be aware of what innovation is. As long as you're just interested, you just pick up the call, you come for the meetings, you learn, you join our community. It's as easy as that.
Thank you very much. Asha?
Okay, for Open Map Development Tanzania as an organization, how you can join us, we usually recruit people to work with us through industry trainings. So, for example, myself, I was recruited when I was doing industry training from the University. Always on DTZ, look for people who are curiosity, who are looking forward to solve community challenges, eager to solve problems and give back to community. So when we conduct industry trainings, that's how we recruit those who are either graduates or are going to graduate.
How do they know when and where the trainings are happening?
So usually when there are some universities that we work with directly every semester when there is industry trainings. So when we go to those to schools, when we conduct that 8 weeks industry trainings, that's where we discover people that we can bring into our team. But also through the fellowship, as how we got to work with Tukupala. It's through the fellowship that we give them funds. If they have an idea that they can solve community challenge, we give them fund, mentorship, as well as time to create that prototype and then help them to move from prototype to business.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. Makofi tafadhali. Okay, so allow me to say thank you very much to all of you. We are humbled and honored that you could make time. And we hope when we call you again next year, you will not say no.
Inshallah.
Thank you very much. So maybe we can go right behind. Makofi tafadhali.
Thank you. Asante sana Vanessa.